Nice to be here today with you all. So today, I really hope to introduce you to IMAGINiT's service offerings in the utility space and how we go about them. Just for everybody's information, IMAGINiT decided to start a utilities business unit back in October of 2025, and my team is entirely focused on delivering services to the utility industry. One of the objectives that I had is making sure that we create clear partnerships and clear goals and objectives for delivering services with our customers. Oftentimes we think of services of just, hey, I need a training class, or I need a title block configuration for a tactical type item. But today I hope to show you how we can partner with different utility companies and utility organizations in different manners, depending on the capacity of their team. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about briefly is I think we've all probably been part of technology projects that have failed. And these are the primary reasons in my 30 years experience as to why technology projects fail. And it's usually not related to the technical details. It's usually related to either leadership alignment or execution problems, meaning, we have unclear business outcomes. What is it that we're trying to do? What is it we're trying to accomplish? What's the measurable business value to the organization? Strategy and execution are kind of blurred, meaning that we think about strategy and tactical items in a different way. And in this presentation, I really hope to define how we think about strategy and tactics and how we can help play either role as a strategist or a tactical player in a team. Weak governance and decision rights, meaning that there's not a single person that owns the outcomes of a technology project, or there's too many people that own the outcome of the technology project, which means you're going to get slow performance, or things are going to take a long time because people are trying to make decisions as a group instead of individuals sometimes. Poor stakeholder alignment, maybe we're not aligned right with the IT team or the business or any other partners that are part of the overall project, and unclear roles and responsibilities in that. And then the focus is on the delivery maybe of the configuration of a tool, but not the adoption or the change management that needs to happen to support that technology initiative. So in utility space, I think one of the complexities is the multiple partner ecosystem in utilities, and when we have taken on utility projects, there's really lots of different manners that we've approached these projects. And the best in class, I'm going to say, is when all the partners that are involved in the ecosystem are involved in the technology project in some manner, but with clearly defined roles and responsibilities, and so that you maximize everybody's value in that. So when you think about the ecosystem of a utility organization, if you're doing a substation modernization digital transformation project, or a distribution modernization project for digital threads, we have multiple people that are involved in these projects. We have the owner, perhaps the utility company themselves, the engineers that support that utility might be an EPC firm that you're working with, or you are the EPC firm. You have construction personnel that are working on delivering the end result projects, and you also have software vendors, like Autodesk, Bentley, Esri, and others. And then you have consultants like IMAGINiT, who's helping navigate that technology path. And really, success depends on clearly defined roles and strong coordination between all those groups. It's not an individual sport. The old saying is the team is together everybody achieves more, and that's really the approach that IMAGINiT takes in these projects, is a team approach, coordinating amongst all the partners to reduce friction and overlap in tasks. So one thing that I really like to do in technology projects is separate strategic and tactical items. So simplify things, I say strategy defines the what and why, tactics define the how and when. and what I'm going to do in the next couple slides is really kind of outline what the difference is and the why this is important and why it's important to define roles and responsibilities for each of these types of items. So strategic decisions are vision, guiding principles, priorities. Tactical execution is how you go about doing that. It's generally the actions. So when you think about the strategic layer, it's the why and what. So I want to do a digital transformation project. It's a matter of defining the business outcomes and the success measures. If you get to the end of a technology project in any way, and somebody says, what was the ROI on this? You want to be able to say, this was the business value and the outcomes that we saw. It's to set the technology vision, the principles, and the guardrails. So where are we focused our energy on? What guardrails do we want to set up so that we don't go outside that? Sometimes it's a multiple year roadmap and major investment over 3 to 5 years, or sometimes it's a smaller project that's meant to be more agile and maybe a 6 to 12 week approach. So there's multiple strategic ways that you can go about that. Another establishment of architecture standards or prioritize the initiatives based on what it's bringing to the enterprise. The characteristics of a strategic layer are often long-term horizon, 12 to 36 months plus. It's outcome focused. What's the growth? What's the risk? What brings us to a stable and deliberate state in that project? And these are generally executive sponsors, CIOs, IT leadership, business unit leaders, enterprise architecture groups, and then perhaps a strategic technology partner or multiple partners. So, IMAGINiT, Esri, Autodesk, Bentley, name the technology partners or other partners that might be involved in a project. And this is an example of, the decision owners matrix. So, what type of decision we're making and who owns that decision among a strategic versus a tactical method. So business outcomes and KPIs, the strategic side owns that, and the tactical people team is informed of those. If you look at sprint scope and sequencing, that's what I was talking about a few minutes ago with like an agile approach. If we're doing 6-week sprints, it's the tactical team to lay out the sequencing of those sprints, and they own the delivery of those sprints and the day-to-day delivery of everything that happens in a project. And I'm outlining all of this because it's important for IMAGINiT to understand our role in these projects. Sometimes we may play in the strategic side, and sometimes we may play in the tactical side, and sometimes we might be in both of these. And I'll show that in a RACI chart in a few minutes of what that might look like. So here's an example, RACI, of what a strategic responsibilities are within a project. So you have executive sponsors, data governments, program managers, data architects, data engineers, subject matter experts in the business, and their different roles in the project. So, consulted versus informed versus responsible. These are the different types of activities that often occur in a strategic roadmap along the path. Why strategic and why strategic and tactical separation matters. Without separation, we get diluted. We think tactical items before we think strategy, or vice versa. Executives get pulled into day-to-day decisions as to things that they don't need to necessarily be involved with maybe a CAD configuration or an Autodesk Volt configuration, or some type of workflow process that is flowing between an engineer and a construction consultant, or a construction companies need to mark up files and how they're doing it. Those are very tactical things. So with that separation, we define clear decision rights and who's making those decisions, which makes the delivery of any new solutions quicker. Reduce your escalation process and rework on those things, and we maintain a strong architectural integrity on our project and a predictable outcome and accountability. So IMAGINiT's role in this is strategic technology partner, business aligned transformation process, change management or training agent. Those are, three kind of roles there that, some are tactical and some are strategic. And what I'm going to outline here is some principles in the guidance along that path. So a strategic technology partner, and again, this could be filled by internal resources or a combination of internal and external resources, provides the clear vision, decisions, and accountability, transparency, risk management, and compliance, support predictable delivery and value realization. So that's the governing or the strategic principles. The governance behind that is, hey, we need a single point of accountability for the decisions to be made. Obviously, people will be consulted in those decisions, but somebody ultimately needs to make the decision, and who's accountable for that is important. Standardized, repeatable governance process. That's what we like to work for because it makes our lives easier when we're all in alignment. And it gives us the right level of oversight without friction along the project. So that's often done through a governance structure, an executive steering committee, technology and architecture review board, program and product governance. So, who owns whatever it is, let's say Autodesk utility design tools, SBS physical for inventor tools, Autodesk Vault implementation, whatever that is, somebody owns that in the governance of that. And then the operational delivery and controls along the path. So what's the role of, I think I just skipped a slide. Sorry about that. The role of the executive steering committee, they provide strategic direction and funding. They resolve the cross-functional issues and escalations. So the fights between the contractors, the engineers, and the CAD drafters or the project managers. They approve the roadmap in the major investments. They are often the members of the executive sponsor, CIO, business leadership, partners, executives, etc. The architecture and technology governments, if you're doing a data management implementation, for instance, ensures alignment to enterprise architecture standards, SIP/NERC standards, things like that. If you're implementing a new data management solution, you want to make sure that your infrastructure supports the standards of the organization. You want to evaluate any integration risks with other systems, and then we want to make sure that their enterprise architecture, security, and these could be all the same people in some companies, but these are generally the roles that are needed in those types of decisions and governance powers. The program and delivery governance, that oversees the scope, schedule, budget, and risk. So, what is the scope? We are going to implement a data management solution isn't necessarily a scope. The scope is really the details in that. It's, we need to set up a server, we need to install software, we need to upload data. What are all the different milestones within that that need to happen? How do we manage changes within that process, and how do we resolve issues in that process that come up? This group wants to do this group wants to do that. This is often led by a project manager within an organization, and then also in coordination with a partner like IMAGINiT or other technology partners, sometimes multiple technology partners. Decision rights and escalation, kind of go back to the initial slide, is who is making the decisions about architectures and standards. Enterprise architecture is, the IT department might own that. It's a tactical position to then go support whatever those decisions are of how we are going to execute. And the decision delivery execution decisions go to program management. Escalations flow from delivery to program to the executive steering. So, go back to that tactical item, delivery and program being tactical, executive steering being more strategy. So, the cadence of these programs should, be in a bi-weekly or monthly meeting generally. what's the status of the program, what's the risks in the program, where are we maybe falling short on schedule, what's the operational delivery stand-ups, when are we going live, what are the sprints. Again, going back to the agile approach, if we're doing a 6-week methodology of in 6 weeks we want to have this accomplished, what does that sprint look like, what are all the tactical items related to that sprint that need to be done. And this is another snapshot of just the RACI chart of the technology partner alignment. So you can see in here, this is a team approach again. Together, everybody achieves more. You have executive sponsors, business owners, CIOs, enterprise architects, security risk assessments, PMOs, strategic tech partner, implementation solution person, where each of these roles could be filled by multiple people within your own company, multiple companies involved, but everybody has a role and a responsibility or consulting and or informed method in that process. And then when you get down to the tactical RACI, it gets a little bit more detailed, right? It's now down to the business owner, IT delivery leads, solution architects, delivery teams, security ops, strategic tech partner, and these are the more tactical items that we need to do to be able to fulfill that agile approach or that long-term project approach. So doing things like defining the scope of work and all the requirements that are part of the project, prioritizing that work, planning it and scheduling it. And again, IMAGINiT can act in multiple roles in this context, or it can act in an individual role. And oftentimes in really large utility companies, they will cover, the business owner and IT delivery and solution architecture perhaps, but we'll help out on the delivery team and the strategic partner planning and consultant in that area. So it could be we could be a very tactical role, or we could be a very strategic role, or both of them at the same time. So if we look at furthermore, a few more tactical items, it's the consulting and implementation side. This is where IMAGINiT has historically spent most of our time, is just helping create strategies and roadmaps for efficient execution of projects. How do you go about implementing a technology solution, and then the implementation approach of, okay, how are we going to do this? Phase 1 is stand up a data management solution. Phase 2 is implement 3D design for our substations, or 3D design for our distribution system, and making sure that we have clear governance and standards along that path. The second way that we often help customers is just with a pretty tactical item, is data management implementations, where we are focused on strictly data management inside the organization, usually revolving around engineering life cycles or engineering design and construction processes, where you might want to integrate, Autodesk Vault with the Autodesk Construction Cloud, and focus more on the tactical items related to just data management and integration, not thinking about the entire enterprise per se, and understanding what the retention of data needs to be, short-term and long-term, and then what the asset management integration may be after a project is constructed. So, hey, we design this, we construct it, we get markups back from the field. Now we need this data to flow to some other system. That's where the integrations become really important. The real tactical area where we probably help customers almost the most is on training and ongoing support. So we develop training courses for all the Autodesk materials and in SBS and others. But we do a lot of training at IMAGINiT. We have the ability to scale up training programs that are targeted at your organization's workflows. We have the ability to develop unique training content for your organization, unique workflows for your organization, so that in lieu of doing a standard AutoCAD Inventor or AutoCAD Vault class, we can teach users directly on your workflows that you developed in the previous stages of projects, which is a tactical item again, and we might be supporting that strategy of your overall organization for change management in the organization. So key takeaways, modernization is an ongoing lifecycle effort requiring continuous adaptation and data continuity. Alignment of strategy, technical, and people is important. Without all three of these aligned, the project will likely fail. And the importance of partnerships. Strong strategic partnerships drive success. It's not an individual sport. It's a team that generally takes on these projects, especially from an enterprise view. And together we can achieve a lot more, and hope that we can help you all achieve more in the end. Thank you. That's all I have for today. If anybody has any questions, I am happy to address them.